So, MbL+Nicov versus Barles+Valas over here with the deciders from their own respective group. Kavasan and Riverbelt are the home maps of Aftermath over here. Barles+Valas coming in with Canberra and Cape of Storms, so one very open map and one more of the closed map style. In this one, sort of similar for Aftermath. They love to play Kavasan. It's a lot of it's more like a slower paced map, and you also have Riverbelt. Obviously, for them that's a lot more open style map. Over here, we got Saracens and Cumans being banned. Britons and Magyars are the snipes. We do have Vikings available for Aftermath, which is a powerful civilization, but not as good in 2v2 Empire Wars as it is in 1v1. Early game it's great, but if the game goes very long, it's not going to be that amazing. It's a little bit one-dimensional, don't have any combat-related bonuses. So with Vikings, you probably want to play fast games into like the early Imperial power spike and snowball the game with that. Yakon, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Welcome. I appreciate that. Other side, Ethiopians is going to be a Sif though. That's also something that gets banned very, very frequently. Very strong 2v2 archer civilization. And it's also great at Empire Wars, so it makes sense that it gets banned very frequently. Other than that, we do have Spanish, which is a bit of an interesting civilization given the maps available. So I'm curious what Barles+Valas are thinking about. Maybe they think about conquistadors for Canberra. So Aftermath is the clear favorites of this one, but it is not something that's completely straightforward. Barles+Valas could surprise them, especially on the more unique maps. So MbL+Nicov play very, very good meta, but on maps like Canberra, for example, I can see Barles+Valas surprising them. That's definitely a place to strike. All right, let's take a look on the first game of the day. So, Aftermath versus Barles+Valas over here. We're gonna have Bars down south in red as Portuguese. Somewhat surprisingly, Valas is going to play Yellow Berbers, two civilizations that you would anticipate to be extremely aggressive in Castle Age. Cheaper archers for Portuguese, obviously, and then Berbers cheaper knights as well. They probably don't want to play very long games, which is the right thing to do against Aftermath. It is a super, super long game, then Aftermath should have a massive advantage over here. Other side, Indians for MbL in green and Vikings for Nicov in blue. Indians actually became one of the more popular civilizations of these 2v2 Empire Wars settings so far. Let's see what we have. We will have scouts coming in here from both MbL+Nicov. MbL actually runs into a spearman, so that is going to be most of the HP lost on his initial scout. Range is coming out here for Bars. He didn't actually wall off this section, which could protect his gold mine immensely, as we got Aussie Drongo coming in with the raid. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Welcome. Welcome to everybody from your stream. Happy birthday. I don't have a birthday, but I appreciate it. Why do you guys think I have a birthday? My birthday is in April, so someone has been misled really badly. Alright, so let's focus on the games over here. We got two scouts in from MbL. Bars didn't really bother walling himself much on the right side. I think that's the more exposed part of his base. I am a little bit surprised about that one. For now, Nicov is playing double range archers in here on the north. Whereas over here for Valas, he's walled with some very, very small bases. His gold mine is exposed to archers though, which is something I kind of dislike over here. And here comes MbL with the scouts. This is why I feel like the priority is to wall the right side of your base, not the left side of your base. Because this is probably annoying if the scout's running from the left, but more importantly, The problem starts to rise when they run in from the right, because you want to make archers, so you don't want to get cut off from that gold mine. So, other side, we got two archers moving in here though from Barles+Valas, and it is also MbL who gets pushed off from his berries. Looking at the villager KD here real quick, we have Valas as 2 villager kills. Barles only lost 1, so the brawlers actually have a better start over here in this one. So, for now, this defensive tower is going to keep out MbL and Nikov's forces over here, and when this market and a house over here goes up, this should be a safe base for Barles. Behind this one, though, MbL is actually forced to run away from this wood line, and now Valas' scouts run into the wood line of MbL here. Oh boy! This is a bit of a problem for MbL. Now, these scouts are unupgraded, so I'm not sure how much damage they can cause. They only killed 1 villager and many of them got damaged, so they didn't really do a good job at focusing down stuff. This looked a lot scarier than what it actually was. Archers now coming in here from Nicov in exchange. Looks like Barles is just staying back here playing with the archers. First to click up to Castle Age will be Valas and Nicov, tied for that title, as now the archers are pushing MbL here really heavily. MbL is being punching back here really heavily in feudal. The scouts now are going back. They are probably planning to clean up those archers, and if they get +1 defense, they should be able to clean this one up very, very easily. So, what do we have? Archers now running into the tower fire over here. Nice reaction from Valas to jump into the tower. Other side, these archers are still lurking around the base of MbL, and MbL is cut off from berries, which doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but it actually is. You actually lose quite a lot of consistent food income from those berries, and that's going to hurt quite a bit. Now, the archers of Nicov will be able to deny the wood lines of Valas over here, so Valas now has to be careful. Scouts coming in, and they will have bloodlines and +1 defense in a moment, though, so I feel like these archers could go down quite easily here. Valas only has 5 scouts and many of them are damaged though, so I'm not sure if this is actually enough to clean this one up. There is a villager down for Valas over there. Other side, MbL on the way to Castle Age as well. But what is he gonna do? His second stable is denied. He's only able to make camels. So if it's like 2 separate 1v1s, and Valas is pretty much playing against Nicov, and then Barles versus MbL, then MbL is gonna be in trouble. And MbL's waiting for the +1 defense, probably bloodlines as well, before he wants to take this fight over here. As looks like Nicov also wants to save his archers until he gets the crossbow upgrade, sends a couple more to the side of MbL. Same is going to be the plan eventually for Barles. He goes for the defense upgrade here, which is I think a mistake. He's up to Castle Age in 10 seconds, he needs to wait 25 more to this defense upgrade, so he can't queue up Botkin Arrow immediately. And that Botkin Arrow would be very, very important in this one. Triple ranges coming in for Barles, and it's going to be triple stable knights as well for Valas. So as expected, they will go for the super aggressive Castle Age here. Crossbow almost in for Barles, but as I mentioned, ballistics is going to be late, and more importantly, Botkin Arrow is late here. Now MbL up to Castle Age, this is what he was waiting for. With Castle Age, he gets 1 extra pierce armor on his light cavalry, and well, of course, on his scouts. And this is why he was waiting until Castle before taking this fight. They will take down the majority of the crossbows for Barles over here, but there is another group coming in, and this is the moment where MbL's camos will be pretty much useless in these fights. And honestly, these crossbows will just distract Nikov's crossbows over here. Nikov's reinforcements are coming in. And look at this, 7 knights already, some scouts as well in the mix for Valas. Crossbow numbers are much better for Nicov. 29, 30 crossbows now, but they don't have knight support, they only have camos. So what I usually say, as this is a massive mistake here from Valas not having +2 defense just yet, losing a knight pretty easily to the crossbowman. So one thing I always say is that the camos only work in 2v2 if your archer player is able to outplay the opponent's archer player. Now, that may just happen here because Nicov is, as I said, at 29 crossbows. Other side, it's 18 crossbowmen, for Barles over here only, so Barles definitely has a harder time producing crossbows here. And I kind of feel like if this game goes long, I like the civilization of Aftermath a lot better. So this is not a good situation right now for Barles+Valas. They are picking civilizations that are supposed to make things happen in Castle Age, very aggressive gameplay, and that didn't really materialize. Their start was actually pretty decent, so if you look at the villager KD, Valas has killed 3 villagers, lost 1, Barles has lost 1 villager only, so they actually had a slightly better feudal age than Aftermath, and currently they have the better civilizations, I believe, but it's just 38 crossbows versus 22, and Nicov already has ballistics, whereas ballistics is just now coming in for Barles. Nicov doesn't have +2 defense, though. On the other hand, the knights are just waiting for the opportunity to jump on those crossbows, and remember that the camels can't do much against the crossbows themselves. So here it's a matter of the crossbows focusing down the camels and the knights focusing down the crossbows, and that sort of is happening. Although now MbL adjusts his forces, I kind of feel like this is enough for aM because they have the numbers advantage. They have pretty decisive numbers advantage. I just don't know where Valas and Barles have their armies. Where are the crossbowmen? Where are the knights? There is nothing here from Valas, and that's so weird. Like, he's adding 2 more stables, but he's barely producing on his 3. I kind of feel like things are just falling apart here very heavily for the Brawlers. They had triple ranges and triple stables, yet they're heavily outproduced over here. And now it is 44 army versus 15, and aM also has the eco lead in this one. Ugly situation right now for Barles+Valas, and I don't think there's a way back now. Because, as I said, if the crossbow numbers are even between Nicov and Barles, that's perfectly fine for them, because then MbL will just win the game with camels. And look at this, Nicov is about to imp. Man, this aM team is really powerful. They barely lost to Gamer Legion A in their group, so they were very close to winning their own group. But in the end, it was GL who advanced, so they had to play a decider. But looks like they are just 1 level above the Brawlers in this one. Crossbows now going to hit the back of this wood line over here. No overchop just yet for Barles, but does it really matter? I kind of feel like with all those camels in here, that can just steamroll the cavalry player, and no archer support right now from Barles. Plus Imperial Age for Nicov, I just don't see this one happening. Looks like they will now double team Barles. Or are they? They need to double team someone and use those camels to take down the TC. That's the win condition over here. Knights are not coming in increasing numbers, but as long as the crossbow numbers are better for Nicov compared to Barles, there is no chance for the Brawlers in this one. Still 60 army versus 35. Some of the camels might get picked off by the crossbows here if MbL is not paying attention, but shouldn't be a good enough engagement here for Barles+Valas to swing this back in their favor. 2 TCs or for Nicov, he's making the 3rd one, MbL is on 2 right now. So, for now, it is 3 TCs for Valas, but what are they gonna do against Arbalests? They don't really have a clear-cut answer. And economically, they are pretty much on par with Aftermath. But, well, such is life for them. Monastery comes in here. That's interesting for Barles. I think he wants to imp. But I think a Siege Workshop would have been more reasonable as a second Castle Age building. They're now going towards MbL. They would need to do insane damage here to make up for this one. Imperial Age will be clicked here by Barles, but he will lose his Imp TC, I believe. The camels will jump on that TC. I don't think Barles will reach Imperial here. This is what MbL+Nicov were waiting for. They're waiting for Imperial for Nicov to have the Arbs, which decides the engagements. And now here come the Siege Camels, and as I said, Barles is clicking into Imperial, but that's not gonna happen. Those camels will take down the Imp TC here. It's not even going to be close. This is why Indians can be dangerous. They can snowball a game really easily here, as the Brawlers end up resigning. Aftermath, very quick strike over here. In Feudal, it looked better for the Brawlers, actually, but then Castle Age came, and there was just no army for Barles+Valas. MbL+Nicov had the better macro, and just managed to outproduce the opponent in terms of army quite heavily over here. So Portuguese and Berbers will be off the table real quick. And Aftermath, strike fast here. If you just look at the army numbers, that tells a lot. Army high 42 for Barles, only 40 for Nicov, but he in exchange reached Imperial. And if you look at just the army numbers after hitting Castle Age, especially Nikov's crossbow numbers, those were the decisive factor. So Nicov 2.84 KD over here, mainly because they were always able to take better fights thanks to their numbers advantage here. So that was the key thing here. And with that, we have one game in the hands of Aftermath. Very nice start for them. And now we'll take a look at the second game, which could be on the home map of Barles+Valas, either Canberra or Cape of Storms. Now, given the fact that Cape of Storms is a very open and aggressive map and how they got outplayed in this one, I really feel like the map that we should go to for Barles+Valas should be Canberra, because that's where you can go for cheesier strategies, that's where you can go for more out-of-the-box approaches. But it looks like they are selecting Cape of Storms over here. That's a surprise a little bit here. Looking at the civilizations, they do have arguably one of the best pocket civilizations for Cape of Storms, which is Huns. Then you have Ethiopians as a very good flank safe. Tatars could be an interesting idea, but that's more Castle Age focused. Probably Koreans or Vietnamese make more sense for Cape of Storms flank. Other side, you have Persians, but I'm not really a fan of that civilization over here. Bulgarians feels a little bit better to me, or maybe Teutons, alongside maybe Byzantines or Malay. Not really a fan of either of those two civilizations, to be honest, for Cape of Storms. So maybe the Brawlers looked at the civs and said, hey, we might have a civilization advantage over here as we jump into game number 2. On the left side, it's going to be Barles as red Ethiopians and Huns for Valas in yellow. Other side, it's going to be Nicov as Mayans in blue, which is... Did they have Mayans? Wait a second. Oh, they did have Mayans. Okay, then they have a good flank civilization here, a very good flank, obviously. Mayans are absolutely top tier. Cheap archers, you can just mass them very easily in feudal. And Persians for MbL in pocket. I probably would have preferred Bulgarians here. Persians will be great once you get to Castle Age. But getting to Castle Age is the main concern on this map. Because you could easily get overrun by scouts from the Hunnic player. Quick walls are nice over here for Nicov, as the scouts are already coming in to get some villager kills. Scout coming back as well for MbL, but there is a spearman from Barles to take that fight. Nice micro for MbL+Nicov there, dragging away the scout before it gets hit, and now the archer is coming in to clean up the spearman. Eagle will get picked off, so will the archer be, and now the spearman is going to join the fight. Very nice micro over here from both sides so far. Looking at the ranges though, there's already a second range coming in here for Barles and Nicov as well. Nikov's range won't be denied. Ethiopians will have double range archers here, so will the Mayans be. Mayans will have to play with numbers advantage though, that's why the third range is going to be so crucial for Nicov, because Ethiopians will have the cavalry or the archer quality advantage. So far though, the key thing I think is going to be that Huns should be able to outproduce Persians in scout numbers very nicely. Although, one of the things I'm not seeing from Valas is that he's not luring in his elephants. I don't like that. I think on this map, those elephants give you such a massive boost of food income. And you see that MbL did that. So that extra food is very, very helpful when it comes to sustaining cavalry production, getting those upgrades just a little bit faster in, although there is scale barring already coming in for Valas. Keep in mind that when we talk about the faster working Hunnic stables, we also have to mention that they research bloodlines faster. One of the reasons why Huns are so strong here, they get that bloodlines power spike very easily, and it looks like they are on to a push into the wood line of MbL here. This is because they want to force Nicov to chase. That's the whole concept of this one. There's already scale barring on those scouts. And they could hit the berries of MbL here. Looks like they don't see the berries just yet. Yeah, they just now found the berries, and this will be the prime time to hit that. There is 2 fishing ships here for MbL right now. Obviously, the faster working Persian docks help him quite immensely. And look at this. This scout is dragging away MbL scouts, but still, no villager kills were found on the berries. There is 3 fishing ships as well for Valas, and that's the Bloodlines power spike I was talking about. That fast Bloodlines can mean so much. And behind this one, both archer players are about to click into Castle Age here with Ethiopians. Bloodlines is in now for Valas. He's got +1 defense as well. Other side, only +1 defense for MbL. So for now, triple range archers for Nicov. Only double range though for Barles. That's a mistake. Because you really need production on this map. On the other hand, we have very, very good meat shield over here, and that meat shield is able to push away the archers of Nicov, contesting this gold mine. And even when that gold mine is just simply contested, it means that the Nikov's gold income will be weaker. Right now, obviously, the Castle Age power spike is what Barles is waiting for with the cross, but he only has 9 archers. And look at the other side. MbL is going into Castle Age. As I said, Huns are much better in feudal age than Persians, but once you get to castle, the Persians will dominate. They have the extra attack on their knights against archers, which is very useful in 2v2 situation. And Mayans are probably better than Ethiopians in the long run as well. Over here, 3rd range is in now for Barles. He's gonna have a pretty decent head start compared to his opponent, to Castle Age, though, and now the scouts hit Nikov's gold mine here. Nicov might not be able to keep all his archers alive, though. He's finding a nice choke point here. But this is the timing that you want to hit with those scouts. You see MbL's going into Castle Age, and Nicov also going to Castle Age, so you're going to have the scout numbers advantage as MbL comes in with the quick gates. Nice rolling so far from MbL. And this means that these scouts cannot really do much. He's buying himself a lot of time here, and when he reaches Castle Age, he needs to make 1 or 2 camos to clean this one up. On the other hand, Nikov's archers are also heading towards the base of MbL, and I feel like now Barles has the chance to push this one with crossbows. He needs to push off Nicov from that gold mine if they want to have a shot at winning this game. Scouts will now take a fairly even fight here. Even upgrades between the 2 players, but obviously MbL is in Castle Age, and Valas is not. So, nice move for MbL, luring those scouts into his TC fire, but now MbL's food eco is idle, and I wonder if MbL can produce a lot of knights here, because it doesn't seem like it's the case, and the scouts are hitting the back of Nikov's eco. MbL is still forced to chase these scouts around, and now it's crossbows pushing Nicov. Nicov is up to Castle Age. He's gonna have 1 extra crossbowman over his opponent, but no ballistics just yet for him. And look at this, crossbows denying his wood lines. And there is still quite a lot of scouts here for Valas to apply pressure with. Nicov just doesn't have the food income. He can squeeze out crossbowman and bodkin arrow for the time being. Knights are now on the way for MbL. As I said, those will be very powerful, but MbL doesn't have the food or the gold for +2 defense up until now. So the crossbows of Ethiopians can still chew their way through those knights very, very easily. MbL wants to trap this army in here. That's a nice move. But as I said, those knights could easily go down in this one. Ballistics is already in for Barles, so with a bit of a dancing, they should be able to take a pretty good fight over here. MbL still without +2 defense. This is a good fight for Brawlers. Or should I say, probably as good as it gets. All the crossbows go down from both sides, but obviously, at this point, the key for Barles and Valas is to just hold this one until they get their pocket player into Castle. It's going to be triple stable with Huns, so a lot of knights will flood out pretty easily over here. And I kind of feel like light cav could also be on the horizon for Valas. They could use those light cavs to raid here, and oh, this is so good from Barles. Those 2 crossbows, unless they run into the TC fire, they could get a lot of villager kills here if MbL doesn't notice this. Okay, MbL reacts instantly, still will lose 1 villager and another one as well. We're gonna have crossbows coming in here with ballistics now as well for Nicov. He's got 11 versus 16 crossbows, but remember, these are Ethiopian crossbows. And it's quite a lot of scouts here that are about to get the light cav upgrade and +2 defense. 3 villagers go down here from Barles though. And Now the knights will be the key factor, not the light cap. Still, the numbers are here for Barles+Valas, and the light cap will be perfect arrow sponge. And this one, slightly better eco for Barles+Valas over here. We got some fishing eco working for Barles as well. Definitely something that's going to help him. And he's 2 TCs. MbL is also on 2 TCs. As now the light cap will go straight towards MbL's base. That's actually a good choice, I believe. Or are they going to hit Nicov? This is not a fight that you want to take with light cav. Close choke points, probably want to avoid that. I think it would be better to just have those light cav being sent over here, because there's definitely a lot of raiding surface at MbL's base. MbL with 65 wheels, the other pocket is at 63, and there is some fire galleys coming in from Valas. So they could easily take down MbL's fishing eco. At this point, knight numbers are heavily favoring MbL, those 70 knights with +2 defense. MbL, no double beat accent horse color up until now. And the real question now is, are the Ethiopian players, well, is the Ethiopian player going to grab Thumbring anytime soon? Because he's gonna need that against those knights. You need all the damage output you can get. Nice retreat here from Barles+Valas, using the cavalry to shield the archers. Still, as I said, you don't want those Persian cap to get close. Beautiful micro door here from the Brawlers, look at this. They're just cutting off the knights so nicely. And as I said, when you are outnumbered this heavily in knight numbers, this fight is as good as it gets. So, you took down like 7-ish knights, barely losing any crossbows. That was a beautiful micro there. And as I said, when the fire galleys arrive here, MbL will be forced to look over here as well. If he doesn't notice that, he's just going to lose all his fishing eco. Now, crossbow numbers are not as good for Nicov as it is for Barles, but Barles only has 16 crossbows here. Looks like Nicov doesn't have enough, and aM is getting pushed back. aM is getting pushed back over here. The Hunnic faster working stables are now coming in clutch when it comes to knight production. +1/+2 for both players over here. Looking at Nicov, he's now at 5 ranges. His opponent is also making the 5th one right now, but Ethiopian crossbows also fire faster, and Nikov's gold mine is now exposed. And that's where things can start snowballing on this map. Suddenly, you can't produce archers anymore, or not at the pace that you need them to, when you have your villagers off from gold. And MbL is going to have to sacrifice a lot of knights here to buy time for Nicov. 31 army versus 18, as these fire galleys are just chilling here right now, it looks like. They could easily kill MbL's fishing eco. 2 TCs for everybody now in a matter of moments. 11 knights versus 15, but Nicov only has 2 crossbowmen. You see that he's struggling with gold really heavily. That's because there is pressure on his gold eco. Second TC coming in to sort of limit the chance for the opponents to break into his base from this side, as now the fire galley finds MbL's fish. It's not as important as it used to be, but still, it's not going to help for MbL that he's going to lose 5, 6, 7 fishing ships over there when they're already behind by 13 eco, and Brawlers have double the army here as well. That's the most important thing here. Double the army for the Brawlers. So, we're gonna have all the crossbows coming in here towards MbL, but Nicov just calls it. He knows exactly that. Look, just look at this group of crossbows. This is like 24 crossbows, 25, right? Other side, Nicov has 10 crossbows. They know exactly how to play this one, and they know exactly that they are set back in archer numbers so heavily that they won't be able to come back into this one. It's 54 army versus 27, and the Brawlers come in here for a surprise. What was the key deciding factor here? It's hard to say. I think the key deciding factor was that MbL wasn't really able to use his Castle Age too much, and there was one big fight over here that actually was very good for the Brawlers. They took down a lot of knights before MbL had +2 defense, and they finished off Nikov's crossbows, so MbL+Nicov didn't have the force to snowball this while Valas was going up to castle, and from that point on, Valas had triple stable knights production with Huns. Huns are just insanely strong on these maps. Plus you have Ethiopians with the faster rate of fire. Barles was able to beat Nicov to Castle Age, which meant that Nicov lost a couple of villagers inside his eco while he was waiting for the crossbow and Botkin. upgrade. There was some fights where Barles had ballistics and Nicov did not. And with that, Barles and Valas do strike back over here. As I said, MbL+Nicov are the clear favorites of this matchup, but it's not as one-sided as many of you may think over here. Barles and Valas are both very strong individually in Empire Wars, as Cape of Storms falls into the hand of the Brawlers. So, this takes us to one of the home maps of Aftermath, and this actually raises a very interesting question. Looks like these super aggressive situations actually favor Barles and Valas, or at least from what we have seen in this Cape of Storms one, and even the Feudal Age of the Arabia game kind of makes me feel like these super aggressive situations actually favor Brawlers. Which means that River Belt is a bit of a risky map to play here for Aftermath, because the Brawlers could definitely surprise them over there. They do have Khmer for that map alongside Koreans, or maybe even Chinese. Other side, Aftermath has Bulgarians, which is one of my favorite civs for River Belt. For Kawasan, I kind of feel like that's going to be something like Italians, maybe. And maybe we're going to see Sicilians on Canberra. Don't underestimate Sicilians for Canberra, for a potential transport ship play. I'm curious about that one. But let us jump into game number 3 over here. It is going to be on a river belt, and we will have MbL+Nicov on the right side as Bulgarians in green, and Nicov as Italians in blue. Left side, Barles as Vietnamese in red, and we will have Khmer for Valas in yellow. So Khmer and Vietnamese are fairly straightforward standard picks over here, whereas on the other side Bulgarians is also straightforward. Italians is a bit of a surprise over here, because while it's actually a good archer civilization, I wouldn't call it that amazing in these land engagements. I'm not exactly sure what you are actually trying to play with using Italians over here. So I probably prefer the Vietnamese. It's going to be archer civ versus cavalry civ on both sides though, which should favor Bulgarians quite a bit, because Bulgarians can get their blacksmith upgrades quite easily, so they can get attack and defense upgrade quite fast, so they can fight the archer player. Whereas on the other side, Khmer might struggle more against the scouts. On the bright side of things, for Valas, he can jump into houses with his villagers, so his eco is pretty much unraidable, and he could try using his mobility to get some villager kills early on before the wars are finished here for Nicov. Jordan, thank you so much for the raid, I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody from your stream. Hello and hello. So, we're gonna have Valas with the archers pushing in, trying to get some harassment done. Really, the only problem that Valas is facing here is the gold mine being very exposed. Other than that, we will have MbL coming in. A random sheep is following his scouts. 2 scouts are in with the attack upgrade. That should be enough to pick off a villager if Barles is not cautious. Let's see what MbL is thinking about. MbL is looking for this lady over here, and that should be a dead villager. That should be a dead villager. Their spearman is coming in. MbL will return for that lady. Oh, look at that. He's gonna send in the scout, yoing the villager, and still be happy with the result. On the other side, MbL has to be careful, because there's actually an opening here that he's just now noticing, and now he has to delete his house to run back to the TC. So MbL did kill a villager here, but now he's gonna have considerable amount of idle time on him, and this lady is actually trapped. Scaleboarding coming in for Valas right now. Bulgarians will definitely benefit from the cheaper blacksmith upgrades, but Khmer in general will be a better civ in the long run, because you're gonna have a much better economy. You don't have to worry about the farm placement that much, and your eco is much harder to raid, so in the long run I probably prefer Khmer in this one. MbL once again comes back with the scouts, but there is defensive spearmen right now. The wall is off, and there is bloodlines for Valas over here. Things are getting heated up here for Aftermath. Looks like the villagers here will not be picked off. And I kind of feel like Nicov wants to go into Castle Age here, but he's gonna be forced to make a defensive tower. Right now his gold mine is gonna be denied for a moment, so it's not going to be an easy game by any means for Nicov over there. That's a nice villager find for MbL on the left side. This villager was trying to wall off the left, but was left alone and got picked off. Nicov also is trying to apply some pressure from this side to the base of Barles. So far, aM's defense has been outstanding here, so despite the fact they're up against Bloodline Scouts, they didn't really lose much. And it looks like Castle Age will probably be about the same timing for aM and the Brawlers. Another villager goes down here from Barles, and now Barles has lost 3 villagers in this game to MbL Scouts. MbL's really making those Scouts work right now with +1/+1. Nice quick walls over there from Barles, but once again, that could be another villager dead. I think those Scouts are now pretty much going to be toast. But MbL's being really annoying here with these Scouts. He's just cornering his opponent in here, and look at aM, this coordination. Picking off another villager over here, and this is the difference. So far, the Brawlers weren't able to actually do damage to the economies. They forced some idle time, but that was it. Things could change, though, because it looks like now Valas is going to commit against this farming eco, and also on the other side, Nicov just trapped his own villagers in here with the market. So, you gotta be careful here still if you're aM, because as things stand, both aM players are going into Castle Age. Same applies for the Brawlers players. Nicov is going to clean this aggression up here. What? What am I looking at over here? Why are these villagers here? That's so wasteful from Barles. He's just gonna lose 3 villagers for sending them in here. Maybe they were sneaky villagers trying to get a forward siege workshop up or something, but that probably is the worst sneak I've ever seen. He knew about that tower and they were heading straight into MbL's or Nikov's base here. Nonetheless, the scouts are still around for Valas, taking down the majority of the archers from Nicov over here, so archer numbers are still pretty close, and this villager is still alive here. So it could be good for a forward, and MbL has an overchop. MbL has an overchop here, and oh, this is so smart from Barles. Look at this. This was the perfect move. He didn't shoot until he actually got into the wood line, maximizing the damage output over there. And MbL has to mass delete houses. It would have even been better if you get it closer to the gold mine, just to push the villagers off from all possible escape paths. That's a lot of dead villagers for MbL at the worst possible time. He was about to reach Castle Age. He needs the upgrades, he needs the knights. Luckily for him, that's going to be still enough gold to get a couple of knights out and clean this one up. Bodkin arrow on the way for Barles alongside crossbowmen though, and MbL's off from gold. That's a serious problem right now for MbL. Meanwhile though, speaking of being off from gold, we haven't talked about Nicov, who is able to push Valas off from gold, so both cavalry players are actually off from their respective gold mines in this one. And in fact, I think Nikov's push is actually doing more damage here. +2 defense and husbandry coming in right now for Valas, waiting for a couple of elephants to push this one away. So he doesn't even play knights, he's playing elephants. Both cavalry players are off from gold, but MbL is already going for a TC on the backup gold mine, whereas for Valas, where is his backup gold mine even at? Oh, it's here. Well, that's a problem. That's definitely a problem for Valas over there. If you look at the economies, it's dead even, actually. Nicov already with ballistics and tumbling picks off a couple more villagers, and I just feel like aM and the Brawlers are doing very similar things, but aM is just doing them slightly better right now. There's already +2 defense, and oh, look at MbL's micro with that knight. He's just juking those arrows and sends the knight back. Nice micro here from Barles, he's doing his best, and he's going to find a nice choke point to take this fight from. But at this point, I just struggle to see how the Brawlers could actually win this, although now the elephants are coming in, and that's going to be a very, very nice meat shield type of unit. Only 9 crossbows remain though from Barles. That's not enough. You're trickling in archers against a trickle of knights, and the elephants by itself won't win the game because you can always micro against them. I think this is a game for aM right now. They're just tearing apart the economy of Valas and Barles over here. Barles does have some fishing eco, but I feel like they took too much damage in feudal. So many villagers went down. Bars lost 8. He actually killed 6, which was nice. But Valas also only killed 2, lost 6. And if you just look at the farming eco right now for Valas, I mean, you're commerce, so you can place farms anywhere, but you've just lost so much farming eco in this one. And now the knights are already coming in as well. And I kind of feel like Valas also forgot that he could just jump into houses here. So, as things stand, it is 41 crossbows. Once again, it's Nicov carrying it with the archer numbers, just like the Arabia game. All those archers, and as I said, mass migration of villagers, completely forgetting about the houses. And currently, it's the same game as Arabia. Just Nicov with the superior crossbow numbers. He's playing full 1 TC with 4 ranges here. And now, it's double the army for aM. 7 villagers lead as well for them. I just struggle to see how the Brawlers turn this around. This is a very aggressive map, and you see there's nowhere to go for Valas. He's just trapped within his own base with little chance to break out anytime soon. Barely any farming eco. He's got 9 on food. MbL is already on 2 TCs. He's got 18 on food, so he can produce knights and villagers at the same time. This could be something that swings it back, though. I think the only chance, a demo. If they can get a big demo on Nikov's crossbows, they would need like 3 or 4 demos for that. But if they can get a big demo shot in, that could actually swing the battle back in their favor. But that's their only hope. That's probably the last-ditch effort. Here come the crossbows. Villagers are trapped here, so another massacre follows. And as I said, Nicov is playing clinical in this game, just absolutely annihilating the ecos and also the forces of the opponent. Now the elephants come in. Nicov was wise to focus down the crossbows, and he will probably continue to do so because the elephants are not the threat. The real threat is the crossbowmen that are just firing from behind the elephants. Crossbows now coming in here for Nicov as well. He's just everywhere with those, and at this point, aM now possesses an enormous eco lead. It's a huge, huge eco lead right now. The elephants will actually get a pretty nice fight over here, but it's just not gonna be enough. It's 30 villagers lead now for Aftermath. And, I mean, sure enough, you may be able to clean this one up, but I'm not even sure if this is enough to clean up these group of crossbows. MbL's on 3 TCs, 58 villagers, the best in... not even the best in the game. 62 for Nicov. Nicov has a couple of Veils queued up, in case you haven't noticed, but the big deal is that Nicov is doing a lot of damage to the eco of Valas. He's also doing some damage to the eco of Bars, but Valas is the real one that gets picked apart. Crossbows finish off the elephant, and those 3 crossbows will once again try to pick off 1 or 2 more villagers before they go down to the elephants. Looks like they will just fight the elephants there, though. It's a 35 villagers lead right now for Aftermath. I just don't see a way back. The army numbers are still pretty close, and I think that the Brawlers are playing on because they believe they have the edge because of the fishing eco. But in reality, that's just not the case. There is a couple of demos in here in the middle, though. 4 TC coming in for MbL. No one actually went to the outside islands just yet. That could be a nice fallback option for Barles+Valas. Having some untouched eco there could help quite a bit, but I just don't see this one happening for them. Double bit axe after 20 minutes of Empire Wars gameplay for Nicov over here. I don't necessarily blame him for that one though, because this map is super aggressive, so you might just want to go for the army at the beginning. Beautiful move again, picking off 2 villagers before engaging the crossbowmen. As I said, I just feel like this deficit is too big and it's just snowballing out of control. Still, elephants are elephants, man, and Nicov only has 13 crossbows left. Where are the crossbows at from Nicov? He probably wants to imp at this point, but aM's gonna have to be careful here. Nikov's eco is crazy, and indeed he wants to imp. But he only has 10 crossbows, and imp is pretty far away. And that's a lot of elephants, man. And Nicov only has 1 TC. Uh-oh. I think there might be a chance here for the Brawlers. They could take that imp TC down with the elephants, especially if the crossbows arrive to support. Will that be enough to get the game back under control? Unlikely, but there is a win condition here for Barles+Valas. Looks like they're heading towards MbL though. This could save the day for Nicov. Nicov only had 10 crossbows here. He had no tools to stop those elephants. And they're actually going for MbL's TCs. That's what's gonna lose them the game here. MbL coming in here with the knights. He's using his mobility advantage really well, and Valas was never able to secure this gold mine. He's really struggling for gold, and I feel like this delay is just enough here for aM.Math. 50% imp progress. Crossbows will focus down the demos. I think you need the demo ship upgrade, and you need 3 of them for that. And I kind of feel like there's just too much time wasted here by the brawlers. If they went for Nikov's TC and destroy it, this could have been completely different. Didn't they notice TC researching? They can't see the glow. Enemies can't see the glow. It's only spectators and the players that are actually in control of that building by themselves. The opponents can't actually see the glow. And if they actually committed against that TC instead of against MbL's TC, then the TC goes down, Nikov's eco is wide open, and he would have had a bunch of crossbows, but it would have been 24 crossbows against 29. So, crossbow numbers are even, elephants would have steamrolled Nikov's base. Now, it's going to be next to impossible because ARBs beat everything here. So, Nicov got lucky with this one, I'm not gonna lie. And the brawlers also got sort of unlucky with this, if we look at the different way. Because now it's Imperial, and I think that Barles+Valas must be just so angry at themselves, because they were close to pushing that TC, and probably they realized that that was the only TC of Nicov, so there could have been a chance, maybe. Now there isn't. There is 3 demos here, though. So if those crossbows ever get to the water, this might be the time. This might be the time, but they're not actually in sync. They're not in sync, this was not the move. You need 3 demos, we have seen an insane demo hit before. The elephants are still steamrolling MbL's eco though. We have to keep this in mind, that MbL has got 7 knights here, and the arbalests are nice, but they're slow. On the outside we have a war galley being researched, so a couple of fire ships could push the outside and Nikov's fishing eco. MbL... well, Nicov is in the middle right now. There is 2 demos around here, this might be the time. Valas is still at a very, very low villager count. Indeed, here come the demos. This could be it. This could be it. They take down both demos and Nicov survives that. That's definitely very risky for Nicov though. That's something that we have to keep in mind. Knights are now in though, and as I said, I just feel like in this game, the brawlers are always just a little bit too short. In Feudal, they were just a little bit weaker than MbL and Nicov. Then in Castle Age, once again, their pushes did way less damage than MbL and Nikov's did, and they were just so close to destroying that TC from Nicov as well, and just denying the imp as it is. Didn't happen, now the demos are pretty close, and I mean aM still has an enormous eco lead, and when those ARBs really start rolling, this eco will collapse entirely. So, yeah, the elephants are slowly taking down MbL's TC here, but doesn't really matter at this point. Transport ship coming in here for Valas. He is going to mass migrate to the outside, and that buys some time for the brawlers. And one thing that we need to consider is that gold is starting to run out here. Elite scrims are in, and they will take some decent engagements. This is interesting because if you think about it, MbL doesn't have cavalry, he's got 6 knights, and the elite scrims will actually take a pretty decent engagement here. They're not amazing, but they will be able to grind down Nikov's numbers, and Nicov is off from gold. Nicov is off from gold, so he can't make fire ships to win the water and get to the outside. This game is far from over, and the elephants, while they will die to the ARBs, they are still an acceptable arrow sponge right now. Nicov is down to 23 ARBs, and he doesn't have gold for more. And in the meanwhile, we'll have transports coming in for Valas already to the outside. No transport just yet from Bars. If Nicov gets to the outside, they still have every chance to win this game, and that's a very nice micro there from aM.Math. But, as I said, time is ticking here. Nicov is selling resources. This is a beautiful find though, and I'm just going to repeat myself for the 20th time today. Everything in Barles+Valas does is amazing, but Nicov and MbL are always able to respond with something that's slightly better, and Barles paused the GG. It's just always an inch too short for Barles+Valas, not taking down that TC, and here, if those villagers aren't lost, if Barles is just given a little bit more time to play this one, then this could have gone way better. Because MbL had 6 knights on the field, Nicov had 19 orbs. If Barles is just given time to get 10 more skirms out, destroy these orbs, suddenly Nicov doesn't have orbs, Nicov is forced to just make ships here, but it would be so hard for him to get to the outside for gold. Those demos are just so far off, and yeah, this is the interesting thing, that aM has a decisive eco lead, but is that enough when you don't have any gold? This is what Barles+Valas were playing for so long, to be honest. Like, it was obvious throughout the game that aM has a way better economy. But Nicov had 0 villagers on gold. MbL was also running out of gold himself. MbL had 0 army, pretty much. 6 knights, not really that much. And as I said, if Barles doesn't lose all these vills on the gold, which was like 14, 15 vills, he was at 70-something vills when he lost all these vills here, and he's given time to make 10 more skirms, he cleans this up, Nicov doesn't have orbs, and then suddenly his Imperial Age means nothing, and it's MbL+Nicov who are on a timer to get gold. Still, I think that this was better played for aM overall, though it got a little scary at the end for them. Barles+Valas definitely have the chance to upset their opponents here, but mistakes like we have seen in this game, throughout the game, small things, like Barles sending those random villagers forward, maybe a wrong rally point or something like that, or the constant raids inside Valas' eco were pretty massive as well. So a lot of things could have gone differently for Barles+Valas, and at the end, this is why they lost the game. 46 villager losses for Barles, only 14 kills. They were never really able to push MbL+Nikov's eco as much as their own eco got pushed, and in the end, that was their demise. So Vietnamese and the Khmer will be gone over here, and we do have a match point over here in the favor of Aftermath. So it's going to be Brawler's home map, Canberra. A map where you can definitely pull off cheesy strategies, surprising ones. Neither MbL nor Nicov are really fans of closed maps. These are not super closed, but this is exactly the sort of map where you could surprise your opponent with something. I have a feeling we might see something like Korea and Spanish here, and just go Warwagon and Conquistador. That could be a possibility here. Other side, I'm not really impressed about the civilizations of Aftermath, but I assume Teutons Byzantines or Teutons Malay could be the civilizations. Malay could be interesting because you could make harbors on those little causeways. Or alternatively, you have Sicilians. And with Sicilians, do you know what you can do? You can make a transport and castle drop inside the opponent's base. That's something that we have seen ROR do. So let's just jump into the game over here. We are gonna have Barles+Valas coming in on the right side as Spanish Koreans, the predictable Civ picks. Other side, Byzantines and Sicilians for MbL and Nicov. And I feel like here you can do a lot of things with Sicilians. MbL is going to start with scouts most likely. But I think that here, when you have Sicilians, this is the new patch, you have the team bonus of the free transport ships. I think it's possible that aM wants to transport stuff into the opponent's base, and you see the reaction. This is exactly what Barles+Valas has to do. Wall off the entire bay, because you know the transports are coming. You know exactly that the main reason why you would pick Sicilians on this map is because you want to ensure that you can transport your stuff into the opponent's base. Here's the insta transport. Nicov jumping in with the wheels as well. And what is the plan? It's just archers. The real bottleneck is not the transport ship. The real bottleneck is the actual army that you're making. But look at this. Behind this one, Barles is going to be walled off. We will have Valas walled off as well. Here's the deal. You have to be very careful, because if you just leave a single tile open, they can still land with archers and deny those walls. So, transport ship is in. Double transports actually here from MbL+Nicov. Scouts will jump inside, but they'll be in for a nasty surprise. We have seen this one being done by ROR versus White Wolf Palace, and it didn't really work out. In that case, they actually tried the Sicilian castle drop with the transports, and this is gonna be a nasty surprise for MbL+Nicov. I like how Valas is also reinforcing these. As I said, having those walls up and making sure there's not a single tile where they can land is important, because both of those gold mines are very exposed. Barles is mining stone for his own defensive castle. That was a risky move there for a dock. Looks like now they're going to be pushing this gate that should be rewalled pretty easily by Barles, who is probably going to add turtle ships as well. A donjon. Here comes MbL, comes in with a donjon, realizing that he won't get through the walls. Let's be honest. It is like the original plan was a landing. That failed. So now it's going to be scouts and dungeons to try and get through these walls. If Barles gets up to Castle Age, he's gonna be all good. He can also be a lot braver with the defensive towers, because he's gonna have guard towers for free. So it's completely fine for him to go for defensive tower. Try to get that one up. Nicov is also trying to bash his way through these walls. I think Valas needs a defensive tower here. So he needs to get a tower up here, because those walls are very, very exposed. Castle Age on the way for Valas. He wants to play with knights, but as I said, just make a tower. Really, I understand that you want to go for ETCs here, but if you lose your gold mine, you don't have a backup one. This is a massive mistake here. An enormous mistake from Valas in a decider game. He needs a tower. I mean, yeah, you can reroll this, but how are you going to get gold? You don't have save gold anymore. Stonewall's coming in for Barles, and I kind of feel like Valas is throwing this game quite heavily here. He could have stonewalled this, that could have worked. He could have made a defensive tower. I guess he's just waiting for stables and clean up with knights, and then he's just going to sell stone. I can see that working. A fire galley comes in and is going to take down the transport ship. Extremely important. Another dungeon in for MbL. These walls are very nicely reinforced, and when Barles reaches Castle Age, he will drop a castle, clean up those dungeons, and go with the war wagons. Archers will break in though. The TC is here to help, but you gotta make those houses really fast to prevent the archers from running past. Crossbowmen also in for Nicov in a matter of moments. There is scaleboarding in already for Valas. He doesn't have bloodlines though. Looks like Nicov will wait a little bit until he has the crossbow upgrade. MbL unable to get into the opponent's base right now, as the castle is coming up. And from this point on, Sicilians will struggle really badly against Koreans. Castle, that's a beautiful spot for it, cleans up both dungeons. So now the crossbows will try to break in on the other side. This should allow Valas to reroll here. And I kind of dislike the way that Valas played this one, but it worked out. So I guess that's a positive on his side. So the castle will come in here, +2 defense on the way for our yellow player. The houses will keep the crossbows at the bay until the knights are ready to fight. So now I think the next step for Barles would be a turtle ship, because a turtle ship would allow him to control the middle, open up these walls and flood in with his war wagons. Dungeons will go down pretty easily over here, and war wagons already in queue. Crossbows, eager to break in. We don't have bloodlines here for Valas, but he does have knights, so I think he should be able to hold this one for a fairly sustainable amount of time. There is some fishing ships coming in here for MbL, and we have 2 TCs for Nicov, but I kind of feel like the fact that MbL is still in Feudal Age means that he won't really be able to do much here against the war wagons, other than stonewalling. That's the right thing to do. Very nicely done. As the crossbows are increasing in number over here, and Valas actually decides to take this more exposed gold mine. Bloodlines on the way. I like that Valas is taking that exposed gold mine while he can, and he's just waiting for the crossbows to come in. Bloodlines on the way as well. The war wagons coming in to take a fight against the fire galley over here. No ballistics just yet for Barles. Crossbows picking off a villager here though, and once again, if only you had one tower here, that would be enough. One tower would be perfectly fine to stop all those crossbows. It looks like the war wagons will come in though, and they do have the 2 defense upgrades as well because they are Koreans, so this is the moment where you can just push Nicov. Nicov is going for mass monks, which could work out against expensive units like knights and war wagons. Fire galleys are out. We have a transport here as well for Nicov. Not sure what that transport is up to. Probably won't be able to accomplish much. University on the way as well for Nicov. War wagons should focus down that gate so that the knights can now break in. The knights now have bloodlines plus 2 defense as well. And I think the only thing I would criticize for Barles is that he's making fire galleys instead of a turtle ship. That would be a much more of a power unit in the middle, securing the water. There's a demo here for MbL. He's waiting for it. He's waiting for it. He's waiting for it. And he keeps waiting. He keeps waiting with that demo. That could have been an enormous blast, but he sort of did not live with the chance. 3 monasteries for MbL here immediately, going for a second TC. I kind of feel like so far Barles+Valas weren't able to use their unique unit play here. And for a Spanish player, yeah, Spanish are nice, but you don't get any like specific cavalry-related bonuses in this one. So it's sort of a meh civilization if you don't play Conquistadors on this map, I believe. 2 TCs for Valas and Nicov. MbL will be on free. And for now, Barles is playing 1. And I think what Barles needs to play here is Fast Imp. 1 TC Fast Imp into Castle Drop and Trebs is the name of the game. In fact, Barles, look at Barles' stone count. 11 on stone, 1050 stone in the bank. They need to go for a Castle Drop right now. They need to break this stalemate. Like, you can just break through these walls and drop a castle here in the face of MbL. Imperial Age on the way for Nicov, though. Nicov is playing out of his mind so far. This is just absolutely crazy, and looks like Barles is not even noticing how much stone he has. Now he's sending out a couple of villagers to take down Dungeon. I think this is where the castle drop is going to start happening. But once Nicov has Arbalest and Bombard Cannon, it's going to be tough for that castle to stay up. Huge amount of monks in here, as MbL is now on 4 TCs. The dungeon is down, and now it's guard towers. Alright, that's an awkward situation. There's still a demo inside here, and that demo pops out, kills a knight. Not much accomplished over there. Ecos are slightly better for aM, but the big thing is Imperial Age from Nicov. He's using that Byzantine bonus very nicely. We have Barles getting pretty close to Imp as well. But how are they going to stop the Arbalests of Nicov right now? I don't know. And it's guard towers only from Barles. I feel like he should go for a faster Imperial here. This unique unit into fast Imp is something that seems to be pretty powerful on this map. We have seen Slam coming in with that, with Bohemians. That might be doable with Koreans here as well. And indeed, MbL might be thinking about First Crusade here. That's TC number 5 coming in here for him, and he's mining stone. That's the castle drop, and as I said, Barles should be able to go up to Imperial in the next couple of moments. The question is, what can Valas do against Nicov? Because Nikov's gonna be an Imp. He will have 22 soon-to-be Arbs, missing all the armor upgrades, which is not ideal. If they can take a fight right now, just before Nicov would reach to Imp, that would be brutal. That would be brutal because, oh boy, I think they need to fight this one right now. Looks like there is some light cap being mixed in against the monks as well. Bracer on the way. I think you have to fight this. You have to fight this. 3 knights get converted. 4 knights even. That was some super quick conversions there for Nicov. Still, as I said, you need to take this fight here. As bad as it looks like, you have to make sure that Nicov doesn't have the crossbows. And now those have Bracer, but that's a perfect surround from the cavalry, just enough to clean up the majority of them. This is going to buy precious time here for Valas, especially if the war wagons come in to support. Nicov is going for more monks here, Illumination on the way. Castle up for Barles, Castle coming in as well for MbL. MbL is actually switching into cavalry apparently, going for bloodlines and scale barring armor. Nikov's archers all getting cleaned up. 1 minute away from Imperial is Barles, though he's still on 2 TCs. Nicov is now on 3. Eco, much better for Aftermath. On the other hand, it's 31 army versus 12, and stopping war wagons is really hard, even with arbalests, because they have insane pierce armor. So, yes, mass Sicilian cavalry can work out, but not against, like, elite war wagon with bracer, that's for sure. Obviously, the super cavalier could be brutal, and there is a hole here on Nikov's walls. There is a hole on Nikov's walls here, and this could be a disaster, because all of those lumberjacks could be wide open, or even worse, MbL's monks. MbL's monks here could get absolutely slaughtered by the light cav. That's a massive issue. Looks like these light cav are actually finding another hole over here, and that's going to be villagers dead left and right. Elite skirms are being teched into by Nicov, but that's not going to be a good long-term solution. So, yeah, they will deal with the war wagons for now, but obviously once we have Imperial Age as well for our yellow player with the heavy cavalry, they can just steamroll this one very nicely. MbL's eco is actually better than Valas' eco, but trebs are coming out. MbL looks like he will go and snipe those trebs though. This is going to be important to look at, because at this point MbL's grand game plan is that he wants to snipe those trebs with the cavalry. And if that works out, then that's great, because he can buy himself some time. He needs a lot of time for Imp though. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Hoberk is actually Imp unique upgrade, right? And not the Castle Age one for the new Sicilians. Yeah, that's First Crusade. First Crusade is the Castle Age unique upgrade, and here come the Sergeants. Now, will those Sergeants change a lot? I think there is enough war wagons to fight him there. Knights are now breaking in, and MbL is going to lose eco here really badly. 30 seconds until First Crusade. The first battering ram comes out. Second Treb, almost out for Barles, but his Treb is unprotected. And I feel like this is the moment where Barles realizes that he might need to protect that Treb over there. First Crusade is about to be in, and MbL chooses to fight this fight over here, which leaves his castle wide open for the Trebs. Battering ram is not gonna be able to take it down. Here come the Sergeants, but they don't even have a single armor upgrade, so that feels more like a desperation First Crusade rather than actual super useful one. I think the Trebs might still go down here, and they are actually escaping instead of shooting at the castle a little further. But as I said, that's going to be all those Sergeants going down for MbL. Still quite a lot of Knights over here with +2 defense, and on the other side, now we have Nicov pushing with the lead skirms and arbalests. No Imperial Age just yet for Valas. On the other hand, Valas' Knights will steamroll those Sergeants, so the Trebs went down, but MbL is still not safe, and now MbL will struggle against this one. A castle comes in from Nicov. Remember that this is the gold mines that are accessible to Valas, so Valas has to be careful here. There is still a dungeon here, and MbL is still mining gold in this one. Treb now coming in. This is what I was talking about. You can't afford to let those Trebs die. You have to keep those alive. As Dave would say, and as Hardy would remix it, you have to keep them near your Trebs. In case you haven't heard that song, I definitely can recommend Hardy's new mix in his YouTube channel. So now, this dungeon should go down quite rapidly. TC went down from Valas over here. Valas is about to imp though. He needs to use this TC to imp, and that's exactly what he's about to do. Battering rams will fail to take the castle down here, and that means that MbL is losing the castle. MbL is losing the castle, and I feel like Nikov's push is not as scary as this push over here, because Nicov is mostly skirms. Sure enough, this castle will go down from Valas most likely, but you see Nicov has to move in here with skirms to help his teammate, and when Valas reaches Imperial, he can just go for the +4 defense and he will steamroll the arbalests and the skirms. Too many skirms in this army. Maybe even the Knights are enough to fight this. Now, this is not a good fight for Barles though, despite the fact that he does have the armor upgrade. In fact, he should definitely not fight this. Just go for MbL, really. Finish off MbL. And at this point, the key thing is that you destroy MbL faster than you lose your own teammate. And that's exactly what they should play for. Barles with the score lead right now. Valas is keeping this castle alive for the time being, but he's out of stone. He needs to buy a bit of a stone here to get those repairs in. I think MbL might try to run past that castle. Indeed, they took down the house. Quick walls are nice, beautifully executed here, but I think there might be a gap here. Nope, there is none. There is no gap over there. The castle still will go down, but in exchange, MbL's base is also getting torn to shreds. MbL on the way to Imperial with a relatively safe town center. 50%, I think he has enough time to get to him because the Trebs are not focusing TCs. What is MbL going to do in Imperial though, as Valas' eco is being breached here? Valas should be able to trade off his own knights against MbL. MbL and Nicov still have a pretty considerable eco lead, but that might soon change because MbL is about to get his entire eco wrecked, and yeah, MbL is gonna be an imp, but will he have any food eco to make knights or anything? It's somewhat doubtful. Now, Valas is also forced to mass migrate here, so it's about the who dies first contest, sort of. Defensive castle coming in for MbL to slow this push down, and this is why you always imp on your safest TC. If MbL used this one, for example, then, well, Imperial Age wouldn't actually be a thing here. War Wagons now coming in, as map control also seems to be much smaller for MbL+Nicov. That's something to consider. Like, there's a mass migration of villagers here for Valas, but they still have all of this area, they have all of this area, whereas for MbL+Nicov they have very limited map control right now, and the War Wagons will just dive deep into the food eco of MbL. MbL is going for Holberg, but he doesn't have a single Cavalier, so yeah, Holberg is nice, but without +4 defense, without a single Cavalier, it's not going to do much for you. And with Imp in for Valas, he just needs a couple of Cavalier to clean up these skirms. He's just waiting for that moment. Elite War Wagon also in. And at this point, Nicov is floating 1800, or 1800 gold right now. MbL's base is getting shredded. MbL has only 18 on food, has to rebuild his food eco. The same thing is applicable for Valas, but Valas still has 40 villagers on food, whereas MbL only 18. And I think we're just waiting for that +4 defense for Valas. He can push in. He's got quite a lot of Hussar over here, and he doesn't actually have the Cavalier upgrade, but he's just waiting to jump on the opponents. He seems to be a little low on gold. In fact, he's very low on gold. He's just making Hussar. That could be a problem for the Brawlers, because MbL+Nicov control the middle where a lot of extra gold is. So the fact that you don't have a lot of heavy cavalry could be a problem, but as I said, most of this army is skirms here for Nicov, so it's still gonna go down to the Hussar, although the Hussar are lacking the Blast Furnace upgrade just yet. Counterattack coming in here by all those skirms, but now it's mobility probably what is favoring Valas. He's got a lot of Hussar out. MbL is just now queuing up his Cavalier. If MbL is able to remain on gold, though, the Holberg Cavalier will actually win the game. Because one thing is sure, it's gonna be really hard for Barles+Valas to take these crucial castles from Nicov down. These are Byzantine castles as well, 7000 HP. They are controlling these gold mines very nicely. And MbL still has access to these gold mines as well. Halberdiers now for Nicov. He's just going full trash in this one. Ecos will even out as MbL loses a bunch of villagers in the middle. As we will have still some reliable gold income. There is the iron casting in here as well for him. His cavalry numbers are steadily increasing, and I feel like we could soon see this battle swing, because so far Barles+Valas seem to be ahead. I think what Valas needs to do now is what MbL loves to do in late game. Send the Hussar in and raid. Because if you can get some raids in, it doesn't matter that MbL's got a stronger army. Currently, the stronger army belongs to aM.Math, but you got a lot more mobility. You have 32 Hussar versus now 16 Cavalier. Are we gonna see a turtle ship coming in? Koreans don't have demos, so that's not going to help at all. Nicov will be forced to repair. Turtle ships coming here to take this fight. Now those Cavalier do have Holbergs, so they have 6 melee armor and 8 pierce armor. The War Wagons barely scratch them. On the other hand, there is still turtle ships, and those skirms could easily get caught off guard by the Hussar. So you gotta be careful. Trebs still shelling this castle over here as Valas comes in to snipe the Trebs. Beautifully executed over there. As the Hussar looks like they're looking for some raids. MbL's eco is not amazing. 96 villagers only. He's got 23 on gold, which is enough to buy himself some time, get some more Cavalier out. But yeah, I'm not sure how long he can sustain that. Still, I feel like aM is slowly taking over in these long late game situations, and Brawlers need to do a lot more raiding. to make this happen. Double the army now, although most of that is Byzantine trash. Something that's actually very, very helpful on a map that's going to run out of gold and you have little chance to trade. This gold mine is still accessible, by the way, for Barles or Valas. Stone mines, gold mines secured over here as MbL is preparing a kept ram push against these towers on this side. I could see Valas going for the Spanish cannon galleons, by the way, to take those castles down. Those Spanish cannon galleons would be very helpful here. Like projectiles traveling faster, they would be like a mini onager or bombard cannon from the water, and the opponents would have a hard time killing them. There is some docks coming in from Valas, so maybe we're going to see that. Siege ram on the way for MbL. He's about to launch a push in the middle. Gold. MbL still has 31 on gold, only 9 for Valas. That's the problem that they're facing. Valas is going full Hussar, and I feel like full Hussar can work if you can actually initiate raids. But you have to raid here. Send in 20 Hussar, in here, in here. That's what you want to play with. Let's see, another turtle ship is out now. Trebs are on the way for our blue player, and indeed, that's going to be Spanish cannon galleons from Valas over here. That's a big group of Hussar, and I think they should take this fight. Only a handful of halberdiers are here. This is the majority of Nikov's army. An overwhelming majority of Nikov's army is over here. And if you look at MbL, he only has 5 cavaliers still. He has 30 on gold. It's probably a lack of production, honestly, for MbL. He probably was pretty low in stables. Monks also getting slaughtered here. That's a lot of resources going down the drain here for Nicov. The dock also goes down for now. Bombard cannons on the way for Barles. Looking at the relic situation, by the way, we have... where is it at? Relics? 1 relic for Barles, 2 for Nicov so far. The Hussar do get cleaned up, and MbL now has 16 Cavalier out. He's about to push this side, but this is an expensive push for MbL. If those siege rams can't make it work, then he's going to lose a lot of gold. Now Hussar is coming into the eco of Nicov, and suddenly the brawlers take over economically. These siege rams are about to take this castle down though. Hussar coming in to reinforce. This castle is history, but there is enough guard towers to keep control over this position. And for Valas, ballistics is coming in as well. Guilds for some slightly better trades. Oh boy, some cavaliers in here from MbL raiding, as Nicov took a pretty big beating on his own economy. 88 and 98 villagers for aM respectively. Now those guard towers, they could also get the Upsong unique upgrade, which would give them some extra range. And now MbL is off from gold. And if MbL is off from gold, suddenly this becomes way better for Barles and Valas, because they will have the Hussar with all the upgrades, and Valas has already been prepared to spam those. Now, looks like Nicov in the meanwhile is actually steamrolling the base of Valas over here. He switched back to Arbs, and that's not something that Valas can stop right now. Even Castle drop in the middle of his base, securing 2 additional deposits of gold, and this is not something that Valas can stop right now. He's going to lose his entire food eco. What is he going to do against this one? He's got 46 Hussar waiting for one decisive fight. Here's the Spanish cannon galleons, something that you see very rarely in competitive Age of Empires. Bombard cannons now pushing the base of MbL here as well, but I just feel like at this point Valas might be dying a little faster than his opponent is doing so. Although war wagons are now pushing into Nikov's economy. What an absolute beauty of these games, and look at those fast cannonballs. The Spanish bonus coming in here. And you gotta delete those stables now. You gotta delete those stables so that you can get a good surround on those Arbs. That's not a good fight here for Valas. He also needs to be careful about his villagers. He's got enough gold to make a couple of Cavalier, and he should, because he needs to take this fight over here. More and more towers coming in. As those castles go down, the brawlers might be able to start pushing up the middle, but at this point, MbL's base... I mean, MbL is farming right next to a siege workshop here, whereas for Valas, he's getting pushed back really heavily. Just delete the stables, man. This is exactly what Nicov wants. Take this choke point fight, delete the mill, delete the stables, because this is how you're gonna get slaughtered here. Elite Cannon Galleon on the way for Valas. Not sure if that's the best investment you can make right now, because sure enough it helps, but I think your gold should be more well used into land units, or maybe even a skirm switch now for Valas. Because at this point, it's Arbalest and Habadier against him, 23 Hussar only now, and he isn't producing anything else. One of the castles went down though, so those cannon galleons can actually sail into the base of Nicov and potentially start taking down the production buildings. Or they could breach the walls and let the war wagon flood in. Defensive castle coming in here for Valas as the Hussar are getting ready to another fight. The army of Nicov is pretty slow, and war wagons can hold them off pretty nicely. So it could also be a plan that you defend here with war wagons and you use these light cav to just push the eco of MbL. There is still 37 elite war wagons up on the field, but there is no gold mines accessible here on the north for Barles. He actually finds this gold mine here as MbL comes in with the light cav raids. Everything is flashing on the minimap as the second castle from Nicov could go down. That's the key thing. You gotta snipe those trebs. Supremacy for Valas, which means that his villagers will be super tanky here, allowing him to survive against the raids. The light cav now flood in and they could intercept the reinforcements. And if the castles go down, there is no more trebs for Nicov. So if they manage to snipe those trebs somehow and take down the castles, this could still work. But I feel like now aM is switching gears with the raids. Down to 74 villagers is Valas. aM's eco isn't amazing either, but I feel like now it's the brawlers being on the back foot, because it is aM that's actually going for the raids now, and not the brawlers. Those war wagons are nice and everything, but they are never actually killing eco. Finally, this castle goes down in the middle, but unless this army is stopped, I don't see this one working out for brawlers. Double the army right now for Aftermath. Double the army, and as I said, this is the key building, that second castle, but I feel like Valas is just getting steamrolled. Valas will be on 0 town centers, and I mentioned this before. It's going to be about who dies faster, MbL or Valas, and it was Valas. So, really, the key thing is that Valas' raids never materialized. He had a bunch of Hussar, but he never actually sent them in wave after wave to raid, and now the brawlers getting pushed back here down south. Eco lead is still heavily in the favor of aM, and I kind of feel like, look at this, MbL is already securing that gold mine over there as well. That gold mine is accessible, that gold mine as well. Habadier is now raiding the wood eco of Barles over here, and Valas, he's down to 61 villagers, has to completely reboom with probably the worst ever town center I've seen. The cannon galleons will take down the castle, so no more trap production for Nicov, and the war wagons now break in. There might be a very minor chance here for the brawlers. They need to really use the leftover Hussar and just go for a big raid. That's their only chance. If they can push their opponents down to about the same eco, then there is still a hope. But that hope is getting slimmer and slimmer, to be honest, because the army numbers are still twice as big for aM. That's a beautiful move, though. As I said, you gotta snipe the traps, because as long as those traps are there, they can take down defensive structures. If there is no traps, suddenly it's gonna be much harder for Nicov to push this side. Light cav are slaughtering the villagers of Barles, though, and this is where MbL's ability to survive comes in very helpful. He's just known for that, and he's still at 88 villagers, whereas his opponents are falling apart, just raid after raid coming in here, and the brawlers are losing eco faster than they can replenish them. There is still 33 elite war wagons here, but now Valas is pretty much toast. He's got 15 army, 58 villagers only, and Aftermath ends up being victorious. I think it's a bit of a heartbreaker for the brawlers here, because they were so close to winning this game. There were many moments where it really felt like, okay, Barles is just gonna steamroll MbL's base, and Valas will send in 20 Hussar here and clean this one up. Did not happen. And at the end of the day, the raids came in clutch for MbL. I just want to quickly take a look at the villager KD. MbL killed 178 villagers. He also lost 131, and it's a worthy ending to this set. As expected, aM actually advances, but we have to tip our hats to Barles and Valas over here, because they really made Aftermath run for their money, and especially this game, this one was a super entertaining game. We have seen so many crazy things here, starting from the transport ships of Sicilians into the elite cannon galleons of the Spanish. There is so many crazy things here, but Aftermath just proves to be a little stronger, and they are going to be the ones that get into the quarterfinals of the event.